People wake up every morning believing their dollars will still buy the same things they did yesterday. They go to work, check their bank accounts, maybe plan for a vacation, or save a little for the future. But few realize that overnight, the value of their money can quietly shrink, not because they spent it, but because the system itself decided to take a piece away. That's what devaluation really means. It's not just a technical word economists throw around. It's a slow theft of purchasing power happening while most people sleep. Right now, the US dollar looks strong on paper, but behind the numbers lies a deep weakness, trillions in national debt, endless money printing, interest rates rising, then falling again, manipulated by people who claim to know what's best. Every time the Federal Reserve injects new dollars into the system, each dollar in your wallet becomes worth a little less. You don't see it instantly, but you feel it when groceries cost more, when rent jumps, and when your savings buy fewer things each year. Throughout history, no fiat currency, meaning money backed by nothing but government trust, has ever survived forever. The Roman denarius, the British pound in its old glory, even the once almighty Spanish silver coin, all of them were devalued into dust. The dollar has been living on borrowed time since 1971, when it was cut loose from gold. Since then, its value has quietly eroded by more than 90%. $1 today buys what only a dime used to buy back then. That's not progress. That's controlled decline. People think this can't happen fast, but devaluation can happen overnight. In history, there have been sudden resets, moments when governments wake up and say, the old money doesn't work anymore. It happened in Argentina, in Venezuela, in Zimbabwe, in Turkey. And even in the US during 1933, when gold was confiscated and the dollar was revalued against it. Overnight, Americans lost a chunk of their wealth because the rules changed without warning. If it happened once, it can happen again. Today, experts like Lynette Zhang warn that the world is heading toward another major reset. Central banks are testing something new, digital currencies that could replace cash completely. They call them CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. They sound convenient, but they come with total control. Every transaction could be tracked. Every account could be frozen. And if inflation spins out of control, the value of those digital dollars could be adjusted with just a few keystrokes. Imagine your savings shrinking not because of market moves, but because a new system decided so. And while the crowd scrolls social media and argues about politics, those who understand what's coming are quietly moving into gold, not paper gold, not ETFs. Real, physical gold, the kind that holds value no matter what politicians say. Gold doesn't need a central bank. It doesn't depend on digital networks or passwords. It's value that you can touch, that has outlived every empire and every currency collapse in history. That's why it matters now more than ever. Some call it fear-mongering. But what's truly dangerous is denial. People don't want to believe that the dollars they've trusted their whole lives are just numbers that can be changed at will. Yet we've already seen massive devaluations, just disguised through inflation. Prices rise, paychecks lag behind, and the middle class quietly sinks. That's not an accident. It's part of how the system resets without saying so directly. It's a silent tax that takes from everyone who saves in cash. The signs are here. Nations reducing their dollar reserves, global trade slowly moving away from the US currency, and central banks buying gold at record levels. They're preparing for something. They're not waiting for a press release or an official announcement. They're acting now. Because they know that when currencies die, they die fast. If tomorrow you woke up and found your savings worth half as much, what could you do? Would you call your bank? Would you blame inflation, or would you realize that the real problem started years ago when trust in paper money replaced trust in real value? The truth is, this isn't a future event. It's already happening. You just haven't seen the headline yet. When a currency begins to fail, the story always follows the same pattern. First, the government says everything is fine. Then, it prints more money to stabilize the economy. At first, people cheer. Markets rise, debt feels lighter, and spending looks strong. But soon, prices rise faster than paychecks. Confidence fades. People start searching for safety, and that's when history repeats. Panic, restrictions, and the birth of a new system. That's what's coming next, only this time it's global. The dollar has long been the backbone of world trade. But that dominance is being challenged every day. Nations are forming alliances to trade without it. The BRICS countries, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa are building systems that bypass the dollar entirely. Even allies are beginning to question how sustainable the U.S. debt and inflation have become. Every empire believes its currency will last forever, until it doesn't. The idea of a financial reset isn't just a theory, it's an outcome. When debt levels can't be repaid, when inflation destroys savings, and when people lose faith in the system, a reset becomes the only way out. It might come as a new digital currency, a global economic agreement, or a temporary measure that becomes permanent. It might be sold as a fix, a modernization, or even a step toward equality. But underneath the marketing, it's the same thing. The rules will change, and what you own today may not mean the same tomorrow. Imagine a world where money expires after a certain date, where interest rates on your savings are set by an algorithm, where your digital wallet can be locked for suspicious behavior. That's the future that many global institutions are quietly designing under the banner of progress. And while most people won't notice until it's too late, those who understand history see the signs clearly. Once money becomes data, control follows. So how can ordinary people prepare for something this big? It starts with understanding that wealth isn't about numbers on a screen. It's about value. Real value. Tangible assets that hold purchasing power through chaos and reform. That's why gold has outlasted every financial experiment humanity has ever tried. You can't print it, you can't hack it, and you can't devalue it with a policy meeting. When trust in paper fades, gold becomes trust itself. That's not just theory, it's human behavior. When paper currencies collapsed in the past, from Germany's Weimar Republic to Zimbabwe, gold and silver didn't just preserve wealth, they became the only form of money that worked. People who held them could still buy food, fuel, and freedom, while others watched their savings vanish into nothing. The same principle applies now. Whether it's digital dollars, crypto tokens, or national debt bonds, they all depend on trust in systems that can change the rules anytime. Gold, on the other hand, has no CEO, no central bank, and no expiration date. It has intrinsic value that doesn't care about politics or algorithms. That's why central banks are quietly buying more of it while telling the public to stay calm. They know that once the next reset happens, whoever holds real assets will decide what the next system looks like. This isn't about panic, it's about awareness. Because when you understand that every printed dollar is a promise that can be broken, you stop treating it like security. You start looking for independence, financial independence that doesn't rely on digital permission or government policy. That's where gold, silver, land, and other tangible assets matter most. They don't make you rich overnight, but they protect the value of what you already have. There's a saying, when money dies, gold walks. It means that when paper fails, gold starts to move again, not because it changes, but because everything else does. That's what's coming. The reset won't arrive with fireworks or headlines. It will happen quietly through small steps, new digital rules, new trade systems, and the gradual disappearance of cash. And one day, you'll wake up and realize the world has already changed. You can't stop the system from resetting, but you can choose how to face it. You can watch your savings shrink while waiting for someone to fix it, or you can act now. Learn, prepare, and hold something real. The next era of money won't be about paper or pixels. It will be about trust. And trust once lost can never be printed again.